Welcome to Eat Well, Travel Better, the Business of Food Travel podcast with Eric Wolf and Ashi Vale, where we help you become a better industry professional by gaining inspiration from some of the world's most successful people in the food and beverage tourism industry. With each episode, we meet these leaders and examine their secrets of success. We reveal the obstacles and challenges they have faced, along with their solutions and triumphs, and give you ideas and inspirations for many of the same business issues that you may be facing as well. And now for today's episode. I'm Eric Wolf, and I'll be your host today for episode 20 of Eat Well, Travel Better, the Business of Food Travel podcast. And joining me today is co-host Ashi Vale. Today we'll be speaking with Wojtek Osinski. Wojtek is a refugee from a multinational food manufacturing corporation where he worked for 20 long years. It's no surprise that after that much time, one acquires a lot of knowledge, information, and experience. The time had come when Wojtek knew this was no longer the place for him. So he went back to his passions, which were food and travel, and started the Taste Poland food travel blog, which he has managed for 6 years. In addition to this noteworthy beacon of where to eat and drink in Poland, Wojtek advises food, beverage, and tourism small to medium enterprises how to weave through the myriad complexities of business operations, from sales to marketing to strategy and service. Today, the cause Wojtek is most passionate about is the globalization of culinary cultures, which is why he continues to do what he does. Welcome, Wojtek.
Hello, Eric. Hello, Ashi.
Hi, Wojtek. It's great to have you on our podcast.
Wojtek, the Taste Poland food travel blog, that sounds like a lot of fun. I was in Poland a couple of years ago, and I was really highly impressed with the food and drink offering there. And I don't think a lot of people outside Poland know what Poland really has to offer when it comes to good food and drink.
Yeah, that's true. I would say that even people in Poland do not know what to expect in Poland. And quite often we go to Italy, we go to France, we go to Spain. We are impressed by the food there, but really getting to know Poland, it's also a bit of the discovery. So, so I'm traveling around Poland for like 6 years now, and every year I'm trying to go to the place which I never visited before, and I'm really surprised. So the discovery of the Polish cuisine can be interesting not only for the foreigners, but also for the Polish people.
What inspired you, Wojtek, to travel and to showcase your cuisine and culinary traditions in Poland?
Honestly speaking, it was a change in life because my daughter was born, and usually you expect the big change. So so we said, okay, maybe the foreign travels won't be possible any longer. So okay, let's travel around Poland, and then then we really got hooked on that, and we didn't give up the international travels because once you have a kid, you realize that that your life has changed, but to a certain extent. But then then we really discovered that. Also, discovering Poland is a great fun. So that was really the inspiration to start discovering Poland.
That sounds wonderful. Would you be able to share some of the typical Polish dishes that have culinary traditions that stem from a long time ago?
Yeah, absolutely. Poland is known for a couple of things. Probably for the American-speaking or the US-based community, it's pierogi and kiełbasa, which is the most known and then typical. But once you come to Poland, you discover that it's a certain culture which is really based on the rural tradition. It's not the high cuisine with the very sophisticated dishes. We are learning this culture, but it's really quite simple food, quite hearty. In terms of taste, it's really unusual. So like the very popular thing is soup. So we have the number of different soups, and really you can come here and try them. And actually my favorite one is żurek, which is based on the fermented starter, which either you can do a bread out of this, or you can make żurek, It's called zakwas. So it's very sour in the taste, and usually you serve it with the potatoes, some sausage. You can serve it with the egg, and it's something which I've never experienced in another country.
It sounds really tasty. And when I was there, Wojtek, I had a clear borscht, which I've not heard of clear borscht before. I usually people think of it as being kind of a thick or maybe kind of a creamy, like some cream with the beets in there. But the borscht that was clear, it was delicious. And I guess the people I was with told me that it comes from, or that was the recipe that was used by the royal families. Was that right?
It's hard for me to judge if it's coming from the royal family or not. But if we talk about the clear borscht, the one very specific ingredient is the fact that that you need to have beetroot which are fermented again. So like the fermentation here was really the very common method of, on one side, of preserving ingredients, but also on getting the sour taste. So like we have the sour cabbage, we have the sour cucumbers or fermented cucumbers. So really this sour taste is something which is quite common here, and also the clear borscht. If you want to do it properly, you should have this. You should ferment the beets, and then it's a kind of the base for the clear borscht.
Speaking of fermentation, can you tell us a little bit about the wine industry in Poland? It's something that a lot of people, including me, haven't heard too much about.
Yeah, the wine industry is something which has a certain tradition in Poland, because actually the first wineries appeared in Poland around 1,000 years ago or something like that, together with appearance of the Christianity here, because wine is the part of the whole ceremony. So there were the first wineries started by church or by monks. Then it disappeared for a while. It was coming and going, but I think over the last 20 years we have really boomed for the wine industry again. So like, once you come to Poland, you can really try the local wine here. It's more served locally. It's nothing which is exported on the big scale. But there are really people behind the winery. So you can come, you can taste. Usually they are trying to pair it with the local cheese and with the local produce. So you do not need to go now to Spain or France to have the wine experience.
Does Poland produce both red and white wine?
Yeah, red, white, rosé.
Wow.
They are even experimenting with the sparkling ones. So really you have the passionate people behind that. The wineries they are relatively small. But I think every year you can see the difference in the quality of wine.
When I was there, they were telling me that they thought with climate change that Poland was going to be the next major wine producer in Europe, as large as France.
Yeah, it all depends on the forecast, but it will not happen over next 5 to 10 years. I think the forecast is that that if the climate change will continue, it can happen around 50 years from now. But the weather is helping. Like last year the summer was really hot and nice. So the grapes were able to ripe properly. So that is something which is changing. Plus the producers, they are getting experience from year to year. You need to remember that during the communist time it was not allowed to produce wine by the private people. So right now they are building skills from scratch, basically.
So getting back to your blog, Wojtek, I know that you started it to showcase Polish cuisine and the culinary traditions, but it sounds like you're equally passionate about marketing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your blog showcases in terms of marketing?
Okay, so as I said, I started my blog as a kind of the passion, doing it outside the working hours. And but then once we started to travel, I realized that that there is a certain gap between what I see in the field and I really started to give the friendly tips to the owners, and then then I got the feedback that okay, your comments were valid. So I started to write more and more about the opportunities, and really right now I'm focusing like in 60% on giving the ideas, the suggestions, the recommendations, how to do better marketing of the destinations, rather than than just showcasing where to go, where to eat.
When you speak about marketing destinations, what sorts of topics do you cover?
Okay, so we can take the latest one. I've just published the ebook for the owners of the small accommodations, like the agriculture or the small hotels, how to use the food tourism into differentiating each other. Because as I was working in marketing of food for 20 years, I realized that food goes much beyond just the basic staple, like to kill the hunger. For me, the food is really the expression of care, expression of love. Food can be the great way to transmit the traditions. So I really believe that if you do the food marketing or the food tourism marketing on any level, it can be really beneficial for the people. So that's why I wanted to inspire them that food tourism marketing is something which is really worth to look, even if you are running a small hotel.
Can you share with us an example for how you helped an agriturismo or a smaller hotel?
Yeah, so in the ebook, I'm trying to explain that today marketing is not about the advertising only, because for me marketing goes really beyond that. However you like the word strategy, you need to have a certain strategy. So I'm really trying to give the simple tip how to understand who you are, because that's number one thing. Today, the keyword in any kind of the business is authenticity, and also in the food tourism, it's important to really nail what you are standing for, or you want what do you want to stand for, and that's why the first question is who you are. The second one is who is your customer. For me, marketing is really fulfilling the needs of the consumer or tourist in that particular case. So you need to deeply go to your target group and to really try to understand. And today it's relatively easy to do it, because if you are running the Facebook page, you can see who likes you, who follows you on social media, and that can be the first indication. And then then you go to the third step of the analysis. Who is your competitor? Because what is critical is to be different. Because if you are different, you have a chance to stand out from the crowd. I think today we are really overexposed to messages, and we are skipping the messages which are not relevant to us. So if you know who you are, if you know to whom you talk, and you know who is your competitor, then then you can really craft your offering. And that's the step number 4, who you want to be. Once you have this basic analysis, then I'm giving the different inspiration. What can be the expressions of the food tourism in such a small premises. For me, honestly speaking, my advice number 1 is showcase it on your breakfast, because it's something which like everyone gives, at least in Poland, for free. And that's a very simple expression. What do you serve to people? And I think that's really a good way to showcase to your customer who you are, what you serve, etc., etc.
Wojtek, you have an interesting business model. So you have part food travel blog and part consulting. Do you find it's difficult to get customers to really pay you for your services? I mean, I think people are always happy for free advice, or a lot of times smaller business owners will try and find things online themselves. But it's really when you get a chance to dig deeper with them and get to the heart of their problems that they can really make some true success. So, and I'm sure there's other people who do consulting and other people who have food travel blogs. So what is your USP, your unique selling proposition as a food travel blogger and as a food tourism consultant in Poland?
What I'm really trying to offer is this kind of the mixture, because I'm not a full-fledged travel blogger, and that's something which helps me in a sense, because I'm experiencing certain things on my own skin. I'm not trying to somehow sit behind the desk, read a couple of books and then then to go to people and advise. So I'm really basic my recommendation on the in-field experience, plus I can combine it with the practical knowledge which I gained during the 20 years of working as the marketing director in the big multinational. So I think that's the kind of the combination which I'm trying to sell. Additionally, I have to be very honest with you that I'm still figuring out the most proper business model for the consulting, because as you said, like everyone is very very eager to get it for free, but you need to make a living. So that's the big challenge. And also I'm trying to combine the need for the advisory, for the regional products, for the local products, because also that's the part of the food tourism, and comparing to the, let's call it, multinational marketing, they are lagging behind. So there is a certain opportunity that I'm trying to explore.
Yeah, I think getting people to pay for services is hard, and a lot of businesses do, but it's getting that one business owner that understands the value and wants to take their business to the next level. And I think there's also a lot of people who maybe masquerade as experts. Oh, I've done all this writing and blogging, so I'm an expert. Well, no, you're not really. You just have traveled a little bit. So but I think in your case, you clearly have a lot of industry experience. So I think things will go well for you. It might take a little time to get your momentum, but I think you have a good future ahead.
Yeah, I hope so, really, because I see the certain opportunities, and it's not about writing a sexy post, which being an influencer you can do, but I'm really trying to get deeper into the problems, and and to offer people a strategy, even if it's not sexy. And because like today everyone wants to sell, but in order to sell you need to move like 2 steps earlier and to understand to whom you want to sell and why they should buy it. So that's really the value added which I'm trying to add to the equation.
You've clearly been in the food industry for a while now, Wojtek. Could you tell us a little bit about a major concern that you see in the industry now?
Yeah, if we talk about the food travel, I think that the number one challenge is globalization. Because traveling to the certain places, and I'm not talking about Poland, because if you sit in a certain place, you do not realize the changes. I don't know if you know this story about the frog, that that if you boil the frog very slowly in the water, the frog will not realize that that it will be dead after a while. Observe the small changes, you do not realize how big the change is. But for example, traveling to the certain places and then then coming back after a while, you realize that a drastic change which has happened there. And for me, such a case, it was last year visit to Morocco. First, I was in Morocco like 15 years ago. I was not considered myself as the food tourist at this point of time, like at least a conscious one. Of course, I was experiencing Morocco through the taste, through the flavors. And for me, such an amazing place, it was Jemaa el Fna in Marrakesh, which is the big market square. Probably you heard about this.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point of time, it was really the place for the local people who were gathering there at night. And it was kind of the open market, a night market. They were serving local food. And it was really an experience. You had the smells, you had the flavors, the whole fun. And then, then last year we were in Morocco with my wife. And of course, we came to Marrakesh. And I told her, we need to go to Jebel Fna. It was so amazing. And, it was so great. So then we came there and it was just for the tourists. It was so disappointing. The food stands were there, some tourists were there, but we really had the worst dinner ever there. Even the tagine, which is a kind of the typical dish for Morocco, it was a fake. That is really my concern, that if you do not care about the food culture, it will disappear. That's why, I really want to talk about preserving the tradition. I want to show the people the value of working with the food culture, because food culture makes us unique. It makes unique nation from nation, but also the region from the region. And if you preserve it, you have a certain asset which you can sell to the tourists.
Wojtek, why do you think that happened with the tagine that was sold when you went to Marrakesh several years later? Was it because they were catering to more of a tourist taste and didn't want to keep it as authentic? Maybe it was too spicy originally. Why do you think that food changed?
Honestly speaking, I don't know, because it was not prepared according to the recipe. The portion was small, and maybe it was all about money, to make it affordable and to serve it quick. Because for tagine, it takes some time
that travelers may not have.
It's hard for me to understand why they are doing it. I assume that it was simply just for money, because like previously they were catering for the local people, and the local people can spot what is good, what is not. For the tourists, if they are coming once in their lifetime to the Marrakesh, and and they want to have this Jebel Fna experience, they will not come back. But I think that's really the wrong thinking, because today with the social media, this kind of message spreads, and it's not longer this kind of the quick business circle that that you have your tourist once and then then he will not return again. He will not return, but he will spread the negative word of mouth. And I think that's really also very important in marketing, that today with the social media, you really need to take care of the customer, even if he or she appears once, because he can be your best evangelist afterwards, or he can be your worst enemy, giving you the negative comments, not only on the TripAdvisor, but also on their own social media.
Great point.
What you've just explained, Wojtek, it's really hard to say why this happens. And I've seen this in other countries as well. And you don't know if the costs have skyrocketed that the food service establishment needs to keep its costs down, or maybe it's just a matter of greed. And anywhere I've traveled, when I see examples of greed, I like to say that greed is a four-letter word in food tourism. It's almost impossible to say, but you're absolutely right, because with the speed of the internet now, the next people coming to Marrakesh are going to search all over social media. Things get indexed by Google, and there's no hiding behind the internet.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's also fascinating in marketing today, that really the consumer or tourist in that sense is in the center of everything. So, without understanding the whole consumer journey, that's impossible for the business owner. So, so like this quick wins, let's call it, they are over. Because in every journey, there is pre, during, and post experience. And then the pre is really the matter of finding the inspiration, but also searching for the recommendations, searching for the reviews. And then, then once you are on site, you can benchmark the real experience versus your expectations. And then afterwards, you are giving your own comment on what you have seen. So, so even if the place was great, according to the comments, you had the negative experience, then usually you share the negative experience as part of your comments. So, so that's a kind of the either virtuous circle once you are doing a great job, or the vicious circle once you are doing a lousy job during the tourist visit.
Wojtek, let's talk a little bit more about the customer journey, because I think that's something that's talked a lot now these days, and we've talked about it during a few of our summits, our online summit and our Food Trucks London event last year. And just knowing you, I know that you know a lot about it. It's really something that I think a lot of business owners overlook, and it's one of the most simplest concepts to understand. Could you just explain a little bit about the customer journey and what it means, not just in food service, but say for a tour operator or a hotel?
So simply, the whole concept of the consumer or customer journey builds on cutting the experience of the customer into the smaller bits. So really trying to understand what kind of the interaction customer have with our business. So for example, if we are working in the hotel industry, so usually the first step starts once we search for the hotel. So so the first point on the customer journey is is to search. Then it's to book. Then it's to arrive. Then it's to enter the room. Then and etc. 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 Stay, visit the restaurant in the hotel, and then also the journey do not stop once we leave the rooms of the hotel. It continues because usually once we are back, we are sharing the experiences with our friends. We are sharing the reviews online. So that's really three major blocks, like the pre-visit, during the visit, and after the visit. Here, the whole idea is that once you know the steps, then you think what customer is experiencing on every step. How easy is to find you on the net? How easy is to book the place in your hotel? What is the service in the reception, etc., etc., etc. So in the very advanced model, you can really be an architect of the whole journey.
I would just say for anyone who wants to know more about that to look at one of our recordings from our events to hear about it more in a food tourism context. Yeah, it's absolutely essential looking at the customer experience. We say a lot of times in food tourism that we're serving a memory and not a meal. And I think that's the big takeaway here is that you want people to go away with positive memories and to talk to their friends and colleagues and family about it, and not for them to say bad things behind your back and post pictures of the bad tagine on Instagram, because that gets around really fast.
And also the memory is something which which stays with you for a long time or forever. Because if you think about the things which you remember from your travels, usually it's either the monuments, which are impressive. Usually the people remembers once they see the Taj Mahal for the first time, or the Eiffel Tower. But on the other side, they also remember the special dinners. They remember the artisanal producers they met somewhere on the road, or really the simple people they got involved with. And that's really the memories which I have in my head from my travels all around the world.
Speaking of memories, do you have a favorite travel memory that's related to food?
Again, I got really very focused food tourist just a couple of years ago, but I'm traveling already for a long time. And then then once I'm coming back to my past trips, I'm realizing that that actually I was doing a lot of the food tourism at that point of time, even if I was not realizing. So you do not need to be food tourist, but you can still do a food tourism. If we talk about one of my fondest food memories, it was in 2005. We were traveling to Cuba with a friend of mine. Then simply we wanted to experience a real Cuba once the Castro was still alive. And then actually once I went back to the old photos, I realized that we were doing a lot of the food tourism at this point of time. So probably one of the most memorable experiences is that we were in Trinidad, and we wanted really to go for the lobster, because everyone told us, once you're in Cuba, you need to go for the lobster. So we went to the governmental restaurant, because it was organized like that, and we sat behind the table. We said, okay, we want to have a lobster, and they told us, no, we are not serving a lobster here. So where we can have a lobster? And somebody just said, yeah, you need to ask on the street. And then, then we went out from the restaurant. We asked on the street where we can have a lobster. So actually we were taken to the private house of a family. They served us the lobster, which was kind of the illegal. They had the beer, which was illegal to sell at this premises as well. But we really had one of the most memorable food experiences with the illegal lobster, illegal beer, and really organized by the private family in the middle of the house. So that's really a cool thing.
And the amount of effort you took to get that lobster.
That's a kind of memory you create around the food. So I probably this lobster was even not good, but what I remember, I remember the whole kind of the emotions which were around doing something illegal in the middle of Cuba. So I think that's really cool. And during that trip, we had some other food experiences as well. So it was really fun.
So Wojtek, do you want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
I was also in Cuba, and it was also either 2005 or 2006, and I ate at the government restaurant in the hotel, and I think I had spaghetti. It was horrible. Later that day, I was trying to find better food, and I also found a private, I would say it was more like a private restaurant. It was on the rooftop of this apartment building, and the food was Chinese, so it wasn't even Cuban food, but it was still private. But then you had the view over Havana, and the sea was right there, and the whole city's in shambles, but it was still really cool, and you felt like you're doing something naughty. But I think the important lesson here is that people crave that authenticity and that connection, and that's why so many of these companies exist today, to connect people with meals in people's homes.
That's true, that actually the number one thing in business of the food tourism and any kind of the business is recommendation. So, okay, we are trying to mimic the recommendation with the recommendation services. So, so like once we see the development of Facebook, it really goes into the fact that, that it's recommending the restaurants which were visited by your friends, etc., etc. So the real thing is mimicked by the digital world. So, so the whole digital is moving into the giving you the recommendations based on the most credible sources which they can find. But I personally like the true advice from the local. They can tell you where to go, where to eat. And I remember the same story from Havana, that that we were just walking through the Malecon, which is the street next to the sea, and and then we were stopped by the guy. So I see that you are wandering here. Like 2 blocks from here, there is a great restaurant. I do not want that you will give me any kind of money. I just want to give you a nice tip to experience something nice. And we had really the most amazing view, the most amazing meal in the Paladar, because they are calling the private restaurants Paladars. It was it was really a nice friendly tip from from the local guys. So I agree that people are craving for the authenticity, and that the local people are the best to give it.
I couldn't agree more. Wojtek, bringing this back to your personal life and your career trajectory, if you could give yourself a single piece of advice to a younger version of you, what would that be?
I'm already at that age that, that I can advise to the younger me. I think it would be something around afraid less, think less, do more, because that's really an important thing that, that we start to really dig deeper into problem understanding. But sometimes, sometimes it's really important to close your eyes and, and to jump. And I think I've done this jump, like a year and a half ago. I still don't know where I'm heading to, but I need to say that, that right now it's really the most fascinating 1.5 years of my life. I'm doing new things. I'm learning new things. I'm building my credibility in a new field. I'm still not sure where I'm heading to, but I think I really got enormous positive kick to my life. I think sometimes it's important to simply do things.
I agree. And speaking of doing things, we didn't say this earlier, but you are also an ambassador of our association in Poland, and you're doing a great job there. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Wojtek, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
it was really interesting for me to read a quote that you had mentioned from someone that you just love sharing. What is that for our audience?
It is simply, life is too short to drink the bad wine. Not only because it relates to some extent to food. So, you can take it very literally. You can say, always pick the best wine you can afford. But on the other side, it's much deeper than that, because simply we should really take care of ourselves and, of our comfort to do the best things which we believe they are for us. It can relate to the job, to the relationship, to everything that, that we should really think about ourselves, that, that the life is sometimes too short to go for the shortcuts. And we should really try to experience, to taste, to live the life which we believe we deserve.
That's wonderful.
That is wonderful. And I think we have all deserved a nice glass of Polish wine right now.
I really invite you to Poland. You will be able to not only to drink the good Polish wine, but also to have an excellent Polish food.
Wine in Zurich, here we come.
Not only Zurich, but Zurich can be as well. So so like you can have the fermented cabbage as well. So so it's like the kind of the local kimchi stuff. So we really have a lot of interesting foods to share, and I really hope that in a couple of years I will also be the person who will help to tell the world how great Polish food is, and that it's not only worth to come to Poland, but it's also worth to take the Polish food and the Polish flavors home. Because I think that's also the big value of the food tourism, that it's not about only eating at the place, but that's also the kind of the flavors and the products which you take home and you start to use it on the regular basis. So this really opens the whole window of opportunities for the Polish exporters, once they have the recognizable brands, to offer their products to the wider audience.
And we haven't even talked about Polish pastries, including the wonderful St. Martin croissant that is known in Poznan.
Exactly, we have the couple of interesting produce. So like it's called rogal, and it's usually served during the St. Martin Day. But what is interesting about this product, that it's actually the recipe and the name is protected in the EU. So it has this special designation of the origin. You can have only this original product from Poznan. We have obwarzanek in Krakow, which is kind of right now that they would kill me for that, but it's a kind of the bagel. But it's not a bagel, it's obwarzanek, and also it dates back to the, I think, 13th century, and you can taste it today on every corner of Krakow. So really we have a lot of interesting foods to taste.
And there's a croissant museum in Poznan as well. And I think people should be prepared that the croissants weigh about 1/4 of a kilogram. So don't have any food before you go.
Yeah, that's something typical for Poland. The food portion, they are quite hearty. So whenever you go to the Polish restaurant, you should expect a lot.
Go hungry.
or prepare to share.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Wojtek, it's been a true pleasure chatting with you, reminiscing about our trips around the world and listening to your thoughts about globalization and the need to protect culinary cultures. Thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge with our listeners on the show today. And we look forward to seeing you again in Poland one day.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great to talk to you as well. You are great hosts, and I really invite everyone to visit Poland to taste the real and true taste of Poland.
Thank you, Wojtek.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening today. The Eat Well, Travel Better podcast is brought to you by the World Food Travel Association, the world's leading authority on food and beverage tourism. We empower local communities and businesses with the food and beverage tourism knowledge and tools needed to reach new consumers and gain a competitive edge. Founded in 2003, every year we shepherd a community of almost 100,000 professionals in over 100 countries. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And you can learn more about us, subscribe to our newsletter, and join our family at worldfoodtravel.org. Until next time, eat well and travel better.